we can
Dan
start
can do whatever he wants.
providing usable content.
We're changing the name from Pod Jiba back to HBO Pod Jiba. Max. Is that anything?
I like it.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Pod Jiba, the Pajiba television podcast. I'm Pajiba comedy editor Dan Hamamura. With me, as always, is Pajiba managing editor Tori Preston.
Hello, Dan.
Hello, Tori. And he's going to tell us if Duster is worth watching.
No. Okay. That's fine.
It's Dustin Duster Rolls.
No.
Also
come
known
on.
as Gator Joe, I guess. I don't know why.
Why did you want to be called Gator Joe?
Oh, you guys haven't seen this week's Poker Face.
Oh, no, I did. Oh, that's right. I was trying to figure out where it was from.
I'm
And then I
behind.
was thinking about Righteous Gemstones. And I was like, that's a weird.
No. It was
No,
Kumail's
yeah.
character was Gator Joe, and he was
Oh.
fantastic.
The bleached hair. Oh, my God. He was good.
That's my favorite episode. Well, no, the Mulaney episode was really good, too. I don't know.
Yeah. They're all good. I will admit, though, I thought that episode, the Gator Joe one, was going to go a very different way. So it starts out with the flashback where Gabby Hoffman like doesn't want to be at the award show, and then it's the first time that Gator Joe wins, and so it's like Kumail looking like normal, and then he's got the baby gator strapped to his chest in like a baby Bjorn, and he's like looking at it going, oh, do 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 do, and the gator's head, tiny little head, is like right up against his chin, and I was like, holy shit, they're gonna this
That's
guy
what I thought.
This gator is gonna eat this guy's head on stage, but like, how is that gonna be a murder that she solves? And then that wasn't it. There was more like, what was it, meth and like other things going on. It was good, but I was like, I was expecting the murder right then.
The whole episode was basically an excuse to create the perfect Florida Man episode. It was brilliant.
Yes. Which is also, I feel bad because HBO had an entire series called Florida Man.
I can't imagine any of those episodes were as good as this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was a Gator one.
Oh,
they were pretty good. They were pretty good.
Hey, comedy editor, have you watched any stand-up comedy lately? Did you watch
No.
Brett Goldstein?
No.
I did.
No.
I will. I assigned this to other people.
I see. Did you find Brett Goldstein funny or just hot?
Oh, he was definitely hot. He was funny in bits. I do think the recurring thing about the about him not fucking the dog was actually pretty funny. But and then other parts felt a little flop sweaty. But
yeah.
It was mostly just nice to see, like, oh, that's what his stand-up is. He should enjoy doing that in his off time from writing television shows.
Yes, very much so.
He's not bad.
Yeah.
He wasn't bad.
But
I haven't seen a special, but I have seen clips of him before he became big, like just like random YouTube clips and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it was fine. Like he's like a perfectly fine comedian.
Yeah,
but
I would say,
that's not what gets you an hour,
right?
Normally,
yeah.
But
I also appreciated, like, you get one, he gets this big stand-up special, and he recorded it in New Jersey. Like, for the guy coming to America, like, he doesn't do New York, he doesn't do, like, he went ahead and did New Jersey. I was like, good for you, man.
Have you seen the David Spade special? I haven't.
No.
David Spade has a special?
Yeah, he's a new one out.
Dustin, I'm still waiting for your piece on the Miss Maine pageant, which was assigned by the comedy editor, myself, because I want to understand the comedy inherent in the pageant, specifically as relates to Bill Belichick and his girlfriend.
Yes. I don't feel like that was televised, or was it?
Yeah, that's why you were assigned to go to it in person.
Yeah, it was in Maine.
It was in Maine, Dustin.
It was in my city.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't be bothered to go
But I didn't know about
38 feet
it
down the
until
street
after it was over.
to the
It
house
was
next
in
door.
your backyard.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah.
Anyway, none of that's TV. I mean, comedy specials are TV technically, but that's
Yeah.
not really that's not what we cover here normally,
Well,
Dustin.
we talked about Poker Face.
Yeah, Poker Face is TV, and then we went on a tangent.
That's what we do here.
Yeah.
It's the Hot Job podcast.
Anyway, we have a lot to talk about, I'm sure, as usual. Dustin claims that TV is really good right now. I'm behind, so I wouldn't know.
Also, Dustin, aren't you feeling a little worried that even though TV is good this week, that in like a week or two it will no longer be good?
I
feel like you have a bit of
I'm mostly
anxiety.
worried because everything is dropping. Everything that's coming out the next month, it feels like, is binge, like 10 episodes at once. Like,
right.
Those are hard. I'm trying to get through Secret Wives of Mormon Wives, and that's 10 episodes of crap reality.
And why are you trying to get through Secret Lives of Mormon Wives?
Because he loves it.
Because I do love it. It is wildly entertaining.
So
These
then
people
why are you complaining?
Terrible.
Yeah.
Because why would you? It's a perfect weekly drop.
Yeah.
Who drops 10 episodes of a reality show at once?
Netflix?
Yeah.
No, it's not even Netflix. It's Hulu.
No, I know, but I'm saying Netflix.
Netflix does it all the time.
I don't watch Netflix reality.
Yeah,
if you did, you'd understand how they all end up in the same weird ecosystem. They're all one shared universe. That's the amazing part about Netflix reality.
I don't think any Netflix reality is as good as Secret Wives of Mormon.
You don't know that.
Yeah.
I know, but no, you have no idea these people. They're
I don't know.
Insane. They're unhinged and they just hate each other.
So you're saying it's better than The Mole?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And I'm saying this as someone who doesn't watch those. I've never watched A Real Housewife.
Okay.
I watched the Vanderpump. No, not the Who is the scandal?
I thought it was Vanderpump Rules.
Yeah, that was Vanderpump Rules.
Oh, yeah, it was. But what was it? Yeah. I watched
Sandoval.
Yes. Wow, Dan, you know a lot.
He was on House of Villains.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and he was also on
Traders. And on Traders. Yeah.
Yeah. This is so much better.
Okay, wait, Dustin. Now I was joking, but now we actually have to get into it. What is it? So you're not a reality show watcher, but what is it that makes this show particularly compelling?
Well, they're Mormons, but they all ignore it, and they're like these young women who can't. Like, all of their husbands are terrible. They've all been divorced or going through a divorce, and yet also having babies and also hating each other. And they drink big gulps from 7-Eleven.
Okay.
And there's at least 2 or 3 of them pregnant at all times.
I feel like you could find that anywhere. It's just the interesting part is that they're Mormons and somehow ignore it conveniently.
Because so, for instance, at the end of last season, they went to go see the Chippendales.
Right.
And it created this huge drama between one of the wives and her very conservative husband.
Yeah.
Who lost his shit. So this season, they're trying to fix their relationship, and they tried ketamine, for instance, which is not something that this very conservative guy would normally do.
Whose idea was it?
Hers. She's like, I want to continue mom talk. So you have to, if you want to be with me, you have to do this wild
You have
stuff.
to do ketamine?
Yes. It was
I have never had a fight with a partner that ended with
ketamine
need
therapy.
I mean, I guess.
Hey, man,
and he did, but he did it. He did it for her.
He did. He's still a terrible guy. But
how did it go?
Actually, she got really weepy, and he got really I don't know. He got a lot more vulnerable than he usually is, because
that's nice.
He was basically telling her, if you go to Chippendales, I will divorce you and you'll be a single mom.
That doesn't sound
no.
Great.
He was the huge villain, And then this season, he's not as much of a villain. The wife is more of a villain.
He still sounds like he sucks. I feel like he should
Yeah,
go
he
to
sucks.
Chippendales. Like, do you think maybe he was that mad not because he's conservative, but because he's jealous?
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
And the irony is that while she was at Chippendales, he was like lying about gambling. He was in Vegas and like gambling and lying about it.
These
And then
people
this
sound
year,
so annoying.
they had like a Halloween party and like to sort of mock them. Oh, this is Jen Affleck, who is not related, but she says she's related. And so that lie has come out and it's a big scandal. Anyway, several of the husbands came out as Chippendales during Halloween just to sort of mock them. And that guy, oh my God.
Was he one of them dressed up, or was he also mad?
No, he had to sort of, because he's trying to be a changed guy. He just had to sit there and watch it and take it. And it was kind of hilarious because he's just like,
Seething.
you could, yes.
So,
But
so Dustin, does this mark a new? Has this opened you up to the larger like
no,
housewife
no.
stuff? Okay,
No.
so it's just specifically, this.
I really think so.
Like you're not even gonna try like a Selling Sunset or
You know,
Gabby or not Gabby for whoever was on Traders. Gabby's a where's Gabby
no,
from?
but
Is she a housewife? No.
my wife watches Below Deck, and I've now seen a few episodes of that, and it's not bad. But it's not bad for different reasons. I mean, it's not really about. I mean, it is satisfying watching these people do their job, and that's why it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But
There
it's
are
not a train wreck.
No, well, some of it. I mean, they end up drinking too much and like messing around with clients.
Oh. I
But
thought you were going to say like the safety gear.
No. But mostly it's just like fun to see them like put together a really good shift where they clean well and they cook well and they make their clients happy. And then at the end of like a shift, they'll like announce the tips and it's like $23,000 and you're like, what? I know.
I got to get a new job.
Seriously.
So I am not at all intrigued about watching this Mormon Wives show, but I am actually weirdly invested in you continuing to tell me about it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So I'm going to need you to binge all of it and tell me what happens to these horrible people.
I did basically 4 episodes today. So by next week, I'll be done. I mean, I've gotten through 3 seasons now of Outer Banks people.
How many are there?
4.
You're almost there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does the quality stay? No.
It's the quality, sort of. It just gets repetitive. They're always running. They're always finding treasure. They never stop to take a break.
What is this show?
And they keep upping the stakes. And like at first, it was like $400 million in gold, and then it was like a huge gold cross, and then it was like the lost city of El Dorado, and you're like, what the fuck?
All of this in North Carolina.
Well, off the coast of North Carolina.
In the Outer Banks of North Carolina.
El Dorado.
I think that, El Dorado, that's the city of gold, right?
Is in the Outer Banks of North Carolina.
That's right.
Yeah, why not?
They found it. It does feel very Indiana Jonesy, like a sort of teen Indiana Jones at points, which is not a mark against it.
No,
honestly.
I mean, it sounds like that Disney version of remember the young adult National Treasure that they tried to make happen?
Right.
Sometimes I think that, but they're like 30-year-olds playing teenagers. So
so was that one, I think.
Okay, it's not bad. I enjoy it.
Oh, good.
But now we can talk about the things that we're supposed to talk about.
Well, the first thing we're supposed to talk about is what everyone is drinking. So, Dustin, what do you have?
I'm drinking wine tonight. A bottle of Franciscan Estate.
Oh,
it's tasty. It's Chardonnay. I just picked it randomly.
And it was a good
I've
pick.
upped my game. I think it's inflation. It used to be the $8.99 bottle. Now I usually go for like $12.99.
Yeah.
But is that still the
It's worth it.
$8.99 bottle?
It might be, but there are like a lot of $6.99, $7.99 bottles, and I'm like, no, that's just gonna give me a
You don't need
shitty
that.
hangover.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you don't need that.
Does it make you drink less because you
No.
don't want to waste?
Absolutely not.
All right.
No, I
One
mean,
bottle every podcast.
It goes bad once you open the bottle. You kind of have to finish
Exactly.
Well, okay. I don't know wine, so.
That's not
That's
really
all
true.
you need to know.
But it's convenient.
Yeah. Tori, what about you?
I'm having a tequila margarita, which is just a margarita. I don't know why they specify that it's tequila margarita, but it's one of my canned cocktails. It's fine. Strawberry lime flavored. I brought a
that's
second
good flavor.
can down just in case.
Oh yeah,
All right.
you're gonna need that.
Mhm.
It's a tall boy.
Tall but skinny.
He's skinny, yeah.
How about you, Dan?
I just have it's warm enough that I should have gotten a beer, but I did not. I ran out of time, so I just got a Tullamore Dew whiskey from the cabinet. I think that bottle's almost gone, so we'll see what appears next.
Yeah. I like that you're warm because like Dustin and I are in sweatshirts because it's freezing in the Northeast right now.
Oh yeah, it's like 80 degrees right now.
Ugh. We had like 70-degree week, and then it's 40s and rainy.
But I'm also like in the upstairs area where it's warmer, so
yeah.
That's why the cats are all passed out. They're fine, don't worry. I check on them; they're drinking enough water. All right, we should probably get to TV. I guess we should probably start with Survivor, right?
Yeah.
I mean, other than Mormon Wives, since that was Dustin's new favorite show. Survivor, we are down to actually the finale will be this week by the time you're listening to this, because they're doing 1 3-hour episode with the final 5. So they'll do 2 elimination, fire, and then final tribal. So this week, finally, someone made a move. Finally, the core 4 alliance is broken.
I mean, too little, too late, but still.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it feels like that for sure. It feels like Shaheen went home, first of all, but it does feel like Joe is probably, it does still feel like they're pointing at Joe as the obvious winner, which feels too obvious. Which feels too obvious for the edit, though.
Sure.
Yeah.
We don't know. Yeah, that's fair. I can see Kyle pulling up, but like mathematically, Joe and Ebert are in the final 4.
Right. Except, so here's part of I forget if it was Kyle or Camilla who made the argument this week that said that the danger of sending Joe, even assuming he's vulnerable, is that he's going to just pitch for Eva.
And no, that was Shaheen.
That was Tori. Well, that was also Tori's argument.
That was, so Shaheen was the one that actually argued that to Kyle. The thing with with Joe is you send him to the jury. If you actually can pull one over on him, send him to the jury, he's going to argue for Eva.
Right.
Which is true, but that's not the actual danger with him, because it's like it's obvious why you should or should not go for Eva. I don't think you need. I think the problem is that it's been clear, like Joe has run the game, like he has that sort of energy, and like he does tend to control things, just like people don't really seem to want to go against him.
Right.
So you send him to the jury, he's going to run things, and it's not even just that he's going to promote Eva, it's that he's going to actively go against whoever voted him out.
Right.
So if you are the one, and like at this point, it requires backstabbing him. Like if you are in that alliance and you manage to, do a move and get him sent to the jury, I feel like you kind of are kissing your hope of $1 million goodbye. So it's like you kind of have to keep him in the game and beat him there.
Right.
Like you have to work the narrative.
Right.
So
and Kyle made a good case for that this week.
I do think I do think that Kyle has a case to make. I think even potentially Camilla, except that her game might be too. Yeah, I mean, obviously both of them can't be there.
Right.
But whichever one of them is there, I think has a case to make, and the other one will back them up.
From the
with
jury,
the jury. I also think that like if Eva and Joe end up at Final Tribal together, then it's like,
which one do you?
yeah, I mean, I assume that you probably vote for Joe,
Right.
but I mean, if you're going to vote for one of them, but they're playing kind of the same game. So
yeah, and Joe's doing it better. I mean, I think that Joe made it that far by winning everything himself. I think the issue with Eva is everyone assumes, like, she is physically strong, but everyone assumes that she's playing a good game because she's the one who's stacked all these advantages, but all of her advantages came down to luck.
Right. And advantages that she hasn't used.
That,
so
and then, yeah, she hasn't strategically used them. They've just been a shield. And like, which is also frustrating because if anyone wanted to make a move on her, she never would see it coming.
Right.
Like, she wouldn't use her advantages.
Right.
I also think, and I didn't mention this in the piece, but I was like, I think that if Kyle and Camilla are thinking ahead, it's like, yeah, okay, only one of them can make it to the final three. If they both go, they cannibalize each other. But likewise, like, you need to send Eva, like, try to ensure that both Joe and Eva make it to final three, not just because, like, I don't think they cannibalize each other. Like you said, I think pretty much everyone who would want to vote for one of them would just pick Joe. But I think for either Kyle or Camilla's narrative, it is much more powerful to be saying, like, here is the very public duo alliance that did what everyone thought.
Right.
But we were the ones working in the shadows, and look how we did it, and we worked way harder than them. And I think that story comes through much, much more powerfully sitting next to both Eva and Joe.
Right.
Rather than like throwing a Mitch in there or something.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, it comes down to, we'll find out this week.
Basically, you need 5 votes to win from the jury. And Shaheen is going to vote for Kyle because Shaheen's going to respect what he did. Camilla, if she's out, is going to vote for Kyle. Mary has no love for Joe. She's going to vote for Kyle. David probably hates Joe for getting rid of him, and he would vote for Kyle. And that's
I don't think so.
You don't think David would?
David votes for Joe because Joe played the closest to the game that David wants, and Kyle, he ultimately was right about Kyle.
Yeah,
that Kyle and Camilla had something going. I don't think David. I don't think David would.
I think they could
Kyle.
probably get Mitch, assuming Mitch is on the jury.
Right. Chrissy, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cedric, I have no idea who Cedric would go for. Like, yeah.
And then Star, I don't know. Star, I feel like is a little bit of a wild card. Too.
Yeah. Star's a wild card.
Votes for Eva.
Cedric is not interesting enough to be a wild card. It's like just nobody cares what Cedric thinks. But yeah, I mean, I think Chrissy is looking for anyone who will make a move, which means like anyone who's not Joe or Eva.
Yes, actually, for Kyle and Camilla, assuming they can convincingly portray what they did successfully, which again requires the other one to be on the jury.
Yeah.
Then I think that they have a strong case to make.
Right.
And yeah, Tori, I think you're right that it's much stronger if Joe and Eva are both there.
Yeah.
Even though I think it would be kind of interesting to see if, let's say that the final four is Camilla, Kyle, Eva, and Joe, and let's say Kyle wins final immunity, and you make Joe and Eva go against each other in fire.
That would be hilarious.
It would be
worth it to do that, because I do think like if it ever came to a point, and I actually even wonder about like if they both made it to tribal, like at what point does Joe essentially just hand it to Eva?
Right.
Like, does he throw himself?
I don't think so. I don't think anyone. I feel like at the end of the day, you still want the money.
Yeah, $1 million is a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Even for Joe, who's set for life when he gets cast into Country Fire. Fire Country? Fire Country. Yeah.
Justin, he's a real firefighter. He's not.
I know.
He's not an actor.
They're so going to cast him.
I am curious because in the preview for this week, you see like Camilla and Kyle having the conversation. Like only one of us can be on the final 3. Like
Mhm.
we gotta like this pretty much ends now.
Mhm.
And I'm really curious how that shakes out. Like
Mhm.
if they decide to just go all out against each other and see what happens, or if they continue to strategically plan. Like okay, I want to go home at this stage, or
Mhm.
you are the one who makes the most sense to go through, or like how that works out.
Yeah.
How do those partnerships, if they do make it that far, like what do they do?
I feel like it kind of ends up being you kind of just have to turn on them, but hope that they respect that it's the game, right?
Yeah.
Like what happened with Charlie, but it backfired because
Yeah.
it didn't work out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, it is interesting because it often feels like at the end of the day, both of you can't make it to the end, like just for the other to win.
For either of you to win,
yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I guess ideally you didn't orchestrate it, or if you did, it's orchestrated in a way that they respect.
Right.
That they're like, I understand what you did. It sucks, but I'm still gonna sell it because I understand what the move is.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of feels like Shaheen's exit, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
it's not quite the same because he wasn't any of
In
their
one of
number
those.
ones, but but I think you're right that like he'll respect Kyle for or Camilla if whichever one, if either of them is in the final 3.
Yeah, I mean,
for how
so
they made this happen.
this is what I appreciate about Shaheen. Like he's very cocky and he's like, I'm the best player here, but if somebody took me out,
Mhm.
that's really impressive for them because
Yes.
I was
Right.
the best.
Right.
So he respects it. And I think that's ultimately my problem with Joe is that like he's constructed this like essentially like kind of bullshit framework for like what's good gameplay and what isn't, and like ultimately what would be necessary to ever get him out, he would deem inappropriate. He
Right.
would deem, slimy and backhanded and rather than intelligent and like, so he would not like if anyone managed to get him out, he wouldn't take it well. And
Right.
he would, and that's like that's the kind of unfortunate. It's also ultimately you
You'd
have
have
to play by his rules.
David and Joe with the scowls on the jury.
Yeah. Like it's just that David was so much more upfront about it
Mhm.
and was absolutely more banana pants. But like Joe's not entirely.
Okay, fine, but he's still a good dad.
We assume we haven't met his kids.
He's a good dad.
Okay.
Dustin, those letters could have been written by anybody,
There
Does
was
he have is it because he has a best dad ever mug, and so therefore it's official?
I have a best dad mug ever, and it means nothing.
Is it it's not binding? I have a mug that says that Dustin cheats, and that is 100% accurate.
Yep.
Anyway, by the time we get to next week, or by the time you're hearing this, you may have already seen the finale if you watch Survivor. So don't tell us who wins. I mean, you can tell us. You know what I mean. We'll have seen it by then.
I hope everyone listens to it right before watching the episode, so as they're watching, they can just be thinking like, "Wow, those guys were wrong. Those guys were wrong about everything." Like what they said
Mitch
20
wins,
minutes ago.
8-0.
Oh God!
Oh my God. Mitch.
Look, you never know. Maybe it's a Gabler edit. Could be. It's not, but it could be.
No.
All right, that's Survivor. I added one thing to our list, Dustin, mostly for Dustin, just because you stopped watching Andor. Andor finished last week. It is over. The final moments of Andor do, in fact, lead right into Rogue One.
Wait, did they all die?
No, they die in Rogue One. You can't have them die in the show and then again.
No, it goes to him. He's off to the meeting that is his first scene in Rogue One. Which makes it Which means, okay, so they say at the beginning it's 1 year before the Battle of Yavin, but is it? Because obviously the mission to get the plans happens right before the start of A New Hope. The whole events of A New Hope is what, like a week at the most? Maybe not even that, maybe a couple days. So it's not like 1 year before the Battle of Yavin. It's like a month maybe before the Battle of Yavin, but that's I know you can't say 0 BBY. That would just confuse people. So
Right.
that's neither here nor there. The point of it is that holy shit, Elizabeth Dulau, Clea becomes the secret hero of season 2.
Yeah.
Everyone already loved her because of all the increased stuff she's gotten over the course of the season, but she is kind of the main character of at least an episode and a half of this last arc.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't have much to say except that like she's great, and it's insane that they basically cast her when she had no credit. She was right out of drama school.
Yeah.
And they had to replace people.
Which one was she?
She was Stellan
The short blonde
Skarsgård's
hair?
assistant / daughter figure.
Okay.
And so like the last 3 episodes deal with like Stellan Skarsgård gets caught, tries to kill himself, the like evil blonde woman like puts him on life support and is waiting to interrogate him, and Clea has to undercover sneak into the hospital to kill Luthen. And the whole thing is that like while she's trying to figure out how to do that, because she knows that's what he'd want, so he wouldn't give up information, you're getting the flashbacks on the relationship that detail like, oh no, she's not just his assistant, she's this like orphan from a war-torn world that he like found when he was a soldier and rescued, and then they became partners, and he like raised her. And so it's like she's literally having to go and kill her father. And that's like a whole chunk of it. You're like, that has nothing to do with Cassian until
that's
Eve
basically
shows
the
up.
whole first episode. The whole second episode is rescuing her, and then the third is kind of a softer landing into where everyone ends up. I will admit it is, Dustin, I'm certain you would not have liked this block, only because this is by far the most, for lack of a better term, Star Wars-y of the block, because it has to start tying in with Rogue One, because it has to start leading into the rest of the movies.
Ties into
so
it's
all of a sudden it doesn't feel as removed and just like spy thriller. It very much feels like more of a Star Wars show, which if you don't enjoy that, then that will detract from it. But
although I did enjoy Rogue One.
Weirdly. Well, then maybe you would like this part.
Maybe.
No. Not to make this about another show, but I feel like, and I haven't seen Andor, the end of it, but I feel like it's like when Ellie walks away from Joel, and that feels like she just walks away, and that's where Andor is stuck. You can't have the scene where you find out that she comes back and Joel and Ellie have a conversation, because Andor exists. I mean, Rogue One exists.
Wait, with that, where and who have a conversation?
He's talking about the most recent episode of The Last of Us.
Right. But I don't understand what he's talking about.
I don't quite either, but it is true.
Well, you know, when Ellie walks away in that first episode, where you think she walks away, but she actually comes back and talks to Joel. Well, so in this scenario, Andor walks away
from who?
Can't come back
because Rogue One exists, and he has to.
Walks away from
because
who?
Rogue One exists. Joel.
What?
Yes.
Dustin,
Andor,
there is like
Cassian
the last
away from Joel.
The last like 3 minutes of Andor is like a slow motion montage where he's literally just walking and he looks so badass. It's amazing. And they cut to everyone and you see where they end up. And it's great.
His Bix is like has a kid. The one part of that little montage, and I do understand what you're saying, Dustin, and you're not wrong, but
thank you.
The thing about that final montage that got me, and I honestly like actually almost wanted to tear up because I was so mad at myself. Like in season 1, the only character like this, and this is how I get about like the Star Wars droids. And I was never like a C-3PO R2-D2 like fan or anything like that. But once they started giving them like weird voices and more personality and stuff like that, I started being really like,
let's be honest. It's when Richard Ayoade started.
It was 100. Yes, it was, and it still remains. And then when there was a Matt Berry bot, I was like, oh my god, a David Tennant bot. We've got like all the droids have the best, right? But then Andor had that junky little piss bot. You know, that was like his mom's, and like it was just so kind of busted, and he kept leaving it, and it was so sad. It was his dog, right? And it's just, it hits you in that dog way. And I was always like, he's got it. Andor he needs to keep going back for that droid, man. And then season 2, other than the first 3 episodes, I myself forgot how worried I was about the droid. I forgot the droid existed. So when they show it on that farming planet and you realize like, oh, he probably ran away and never even took it with him, and it's been there the whole time with these other people, and like, does Andor even remember it? And he's about to go die. Does he even remember this poor droid that has been there for him?
But
he'll
he's
never
happy.
walk back to talk to that droid.
But he was happy. He was playing tag with another droid.
He was happy. Yeah, they had to show you the droid like playing fetch in a field to make sure you knew that the dog droid was happy.
Yeah.
But no, that is my, we'll never know that Ellie came back onto the porch.
Oh.
All right. I don't know what any of those references mean, so I would like to now know what that means, because I'm not watching season 2.
You should.
Should I? I keep hearing mixed things, Dustin.
No.
I don't know.
Who is telling you mixed things?
Other people. I have other friends, who watch television. Fantastic. Wow.
Dustin,
quit Andor, Dustin. How much can I really trust your judgment?
To be fair, Dustin runs competing opinions about The Last of Us on his website.
It's true. But I don't agree with the other one.
All right.
I mean, he's got some good points. But I don't agree with them.
Overall.
Right.
Yeah, so The Last of Us is setting up for its finale, and it did its big flashback episode. And I happen to think it was actually a very good episode. It tied in a lot of stuff that we've seen.
Was there disagreement on the internet?
That's the point when it comes to The Last of Us, I just assume there is. And the reason why with this one specifically is that like there are certain things that they recreated very accurately from the video game, but there's also things that they combined or changed in a way that may annoy fans. Specifically, so this is the episode about how Ellie figures out that Joel lied. That Joel that he killed all of the fireflies and removed her without giving her the option of, being the source of a cure.
She turns into Lily Taylor and say anything. Joel lies. Nobody gets that reference. Okay, yay! Tori gets the reference. Thank you.
And it's so, but what they did is you think that's all that's going to happen in the episode, but what they actually do is go through this. It's like this whole episode of how kind of incredible a dad Joel was to her over this like 5-year period. And it's like, even as their relationship is breaking apart, you see him trying so hard and he doesn't understand why she's becoming more and more distant. And the answer is just, she's been figuring out that he lied the whole time. And so she keeps pulling away. But it doesn't happen at first. So there's like very happy memories, and it's all like flashbacks of him celebrating her birthday through the years until some very serious shit goes down. And like there's one scene in particular with Joe Pantoliano, who plays Eugene, and it was another flashback we were expecting, but probably not in this context. And it's
right. I did not expect it in that context.
No, and it's all about like, oh yeah, like Joel lies to Ellie about he gets bitten, he gets infected, and Joel's gonna kill him, and Ellie's like, no, he's not turning yet. All he wants to do is go talk to his wife. Let's take him outside Jackson and give him the opportunity. And Joel's like, okay, fine, go get the horses. I promise I won't hurt him. And then he immediately turns and like wants to shoot him in the head. And there's a whole heartbreaking scene and all this dialogue, and there's stuff.
Just
and it's
wanted to see his wife's face
before he died. And it's this whole thing where Joel's like, if you love someone, you'll see their face no matter what. Like you don't need to, And it's like, that's rich coming from you. You got to stare at Ellie when you died. And it's just all these little details that call back to things that have happened, like him drinking the coffee. And then, that's why she put the coffee beans and like all these things throughout the season. But the porch thing is that I think in the first episode, there's this whole scene at a dance, and it's kind of where you really realize how estranged Joel and Ellie are. And Ellie like kisses the girl that she likes for the first time, and this like older guy comes up and like, calls them some slurs and is like really bigoted toward them. And as Ellie is about to be like, what the hell? Like Joel comes up and shoves the guy to the ground. And so Ellie, instead of being mad at him, gets mad at Joel for once again rushing in and saving her. And Joel like leaves. Like he gets yelled at in public and he leaves. And that night, Ellie comes home and sees Joel on the porch and just like looks at him, turns away, and walks toward the garage where she's been living. And it's this like moment of like, and the next day, episode wise, is when he dies. And so they haven't made up. So you think. And so it's this like weight in your chest as you're watching the season. And then this episode rewinds and you find out that no, that night she didn't just go to the garage. She turned around, came back on the porch. And that's when she finally confronted him about what happened to the Firefly Hospital. And basically tells him, like, I know, like, tell me the truth, because I already know. Like, don't lie. And he admits it. It's really heartbreaking, and they have it all out. And then she ends with, like, I don't know that I can ever forgive you for this, but I want to try. And so you're like, oh, they were going to patch it up, and then he died. Ah!
It's like, it works so well because, like, she gets to hate him, but also you understand why she wants to kill for him.
Yeah, because it's like she had this moment of like, and it's also like the episode is about like one of the things, this motif that they kind of run into is like his dad said it to him and he says it to her. It's this idea of like, when you're in my position, when you're a dad or something, like, I hope you'll be better than I was. And so it's kind of about generations, like, you're not going to be perfect, but like maybe you can overcome where you came from and be a better parent than I was, whatever. And of course, Ellie is looking at being a parent with Dina and stuff like that. And in that moment, the fact that she like was willing to forgive or was willing to think about forgiveness, and then suddenly is on this like war path of revenge. And like she has the capacity. Is she ever going to get that back? Can she ever do that? Or is this like, has this changed her? And like, is she ever going to be better than Joel? Because obviously Joel was willing to doom humanity and kill a bunch of people, massacre a bunch of people for her. I don't know. It's just.
And Pedro Pascal is such a good dad.
And he kept crying. Oh my God. Every time the tears, it wasn't even sobbing. It would just be like tears coming out of his beautiful eyes. You're like,
for whatever stupid reason, it reminds me of like Pedro Pascal actually has no kids and yet plays the perfect dad. And the same thing, Steve Martin. I know it's a totally different thing,
but it's true.
Father of the Bride, he is the best dad ever. Has no kids, just somehow knows how to do the same way that Pedro Pascal does.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But it is also like, I understand when people are kind of like, this episode was really hard, just because it's like, we're kind of getting the send off that Joel deserves, but it's also that reminder we've had a few episodes without Joel. And it's that reminder of like the incredible chemistry between these two characters and how much the show lacks with his absence.
Yeah.
And like, I can understand why people maybe are like, I'm not as interested because I was here for the two of them. And it's not a knock on Bella Ramsey. I think she's doing a great job.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of the struggle with this season, and why I think it's actually smart that it's only 7 episodes, is that like part of, again, with the game, it's balancing Ellie and Abby. And they're holding back on Abby because I think they're essentially, if they're smart, and given the way that like they just announced that there will be a 4th season. So I think it's pretty clear like the layout that they're doing, which hopefully is season 3 will be retelling the events of Seattle, but from Abby's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole time Ellie was hunting for Abby, you find out where Abby was.
Right.
And there may be periodic Ellie, like I think there may be a couple of events that like it'll have to switch to her POV, but for the most part, I think you can pretty much do a solid, essentially Ellie-less season. It would be pretty ballsy to do it. I don't know how viewers would react to that.
Yeah.
But then you have season 4 where you're actually trading off these two characters, and it's really about the two of them. So I don't know.
What's crazy to me, and as someone who hasn't played the games, is like, how can you be mad about killing off Joel? Because I mean, that is the whole driving force for the last 2 or 3 seasons. Like that is.
Well, but I mean,
if you don't kill off Joel, then you're not doing the game at all.
Well, no, and that's the whole thing. Like they had to do it. So people who haven't played the games are just upset because, and people were mad playing the second game when they got the game and then realized like, what do you mean the like white male character I was used to playing is like dies almost immediately,
right?
And I'm stuck playing this like lesbian teenager. So you had a lot of like chauvinist chuds who are just mad about all the wrong things.
It feels like a different kind of anger, but
yeah,
it all does focus
so they basically
on like,
wanted her to die so that he could.
They didn't want either of them to die, but they wanted to be able to continue to kind of inhabit Joel.
I think they wanted to be Joel.
They wanted to be Joel. And that ultimately means like you didn't really care about the story the second, because I mean, like if you think about it, the first game is told over the course of a single season.
Right.
And they're saying like, yeah, that was a straightforward, and they embellished. That wasn't like, they added stuff. But the second game, to do it, they're saying they have to do 3 seasons to cover this, to do the story of this one game justice. And that's because, it's.
Oh, and in the 3rd season, if they do Abby, and they're going to do a flashback to like Abby's relationship with her father.
With her dad.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah. No.
Oh, so good.
There's going to be flashbacks.
Oh, dang, you're missing out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Look, it'll all be available for me in the cloud, so I can watch it on HBO Max.
Dan, what did you think of the SNL finale?
Dustin just wants to move on.
Seamless.
Okay, so it was Joke Swap.
Joke Swap was good.
Joke Swap was fun. They did. I'm just going off of like what I remember, and what I remember, I assume. Oh, and Miss Eggy was back. That was fun.
Yeah.
Bowen's still straight. They did a second Bowen straight sketch. Please Don't Destroy was back. It was weird because it was like they tried to do half music, but it's like you're not Lonely. Like nothing against it. It was fine. It's just like you're not Lonely Island. That's kind of it's tough to be in that lane when you're not Lonely Island, or even like even the other like digital shorts that they do that are songs. Like, but then it was only half a song and then half like a Please Don't Destroy-esque like style sketch. So it was weird that they tried to do both to me.
The redhead in Please Don't Destroy, I think he's the non-Nepo baby of the group. Is that right?
I don't remember which one. But yeah.
The redhead. He was a major character in this week's Poker Face, just putting that out there.
Okay. Yes, he was. I was like, why does that creepy guy look so familiar?
Why is he creepy? There's nothing creepy. He's a nice guy.
The creepy guy is Michael Longfellow.
No, I love Michael. Longfellow.
They called him creepy on the show.
Yes, I know. But Longfellow and Jane Wickline are kind of my favorite 2 SNL cast members now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dustin hates Bowen Yang. He hates Asian cast members on SNL.
Yeah, historically,
Bowen Yang has a Kristen Wiig thing, where Bowen Yang is like awesome in some sketches and like thinks he's awesome in other sketches.
Wow.
So,
we see.
Wait, what do you have against Kristen Wiig?
I think Kristen Wiig was great, but also really annoying.
Wow,
and
Dustin,
honestly,
wow, Dustin hates Asians and women.
Kristen, Kate McKinnon had the same issue. Like, she's amazing, but I
Dustin
never really
basically
liked her
hates
sketches.
I would say, Dustin.
Are you kidding me? Who is my least favorite cast member ever?
What? Yeah,
who is my least?
You also hate.
What's his face?
Also hate Aristotle,
which was
Kyle
wrong.
Mooney.
I know
is my least favorite.
Yes. That's only because you secretly love Kyle Mooney and you don't like that about yourself.
No.
Look, the point is, I don't know. It was kind of a weird episode. It also the crowd particularly had, like, I normally don't care about the audience, but the audience had a very weird energy. Like the way that, especially in Update, the way that Colin Jost and Michael Che were reacting to them, and the way that they were laughing at the jokes, like, oh, they're not getting it, or they're nervous, or something. There was something weird going on.
Didn't
Like
they
that
seem kind of like, I thought that they were like nervous or upset because it might have been their last show. It felt,
no,
the energy
I
felt
thought
weird.
their energy felt. I felt, or to me, their energy felt like they were reacting to the fact that the crowd was not getting some of the jokes, and the jokes were not like that hard to get. But
Right. Okay.
there were definitely some where the laughter's kind of tepid. It's like, all right, it's not the funniest thing, but you should be laughing more than that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. It was fine. I will. We talked about this pre-pod, but I will talk about briefly my conspiracy theory, because they did not announce anyone leaving. They did not give any like official goodbyes. But I knew that going in because I didn't watch until Sunday, and that made me think during the opening monologue when they start the song, there were like I don't know how many, 6 or 7 cast members who joined first, who like first joined Scarlett Johansson on stage, and it kind of felt like all the people who could be leaving, because it was
which is insane though, Dan, because that was like all
right,
of senior members except for Keenan.
Right, but again, like they're all kind of at a point in their. I feel like all of them, except for Sarah Sherman, who was part of that like 6. And even if she left, I wouldn't. I mean, I don't think she's gonna leave, but if she did, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, whatever. But they're all kind of at the point where I think their careers will be fine. Like they don't have to be. I don't think any of them are afraid about what comes next. I think that they all have enough work. They've worked enough outside of SNL, and they're known enough
Mikey
quantities.
Day could be on the show for 10 more years, and he would still have the same post SNL career.
But that's true. Is like any. I think that's true of most of them. I mean, most of the people at that level.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's fair.
I don't know. I mean, leaving after season 50, you don't know. Even though they joke about the fact that Lauren is never going to leave, you don't actually know how much longer he's going to do it. Do you want to be there? Like, do you want to stay until you have to leave, or do you want to leave?
I would be fine for all of those people to leave except for Ego and Sherman. Ego is like at her peak right now.
Dustin hates Bowen. Dustin hates Chloe Fineman.
Chloe Fineman is great. I love Chloe Fineman.
Dustin hates Heidi Gardner.
I know.
No, I love Heidi Gardner.
Yeah.
Like Heidi Gardner is.
And yet you're okay if she leaves.
She'll be fine.
8 seasons?
No, that's my point. Is that like I feel like a lot of those people could be, it's not that all of them are going to leave, or even that any of them are going to leave, but I think that it did feel like, of the cast, these are the ones who might be leaving, and outside of Jost and Che, because who knows what they're going to do.
And Devon Walker.
What's wrong with Devon Walker?
Devon Walker, sorry. He doesn't have a prayer. He's not going to make it next year.
Why is that?
He was so underutilized this season. They don't know what to do with him.
And what are you saying, Dustin?
I'm saying he's the Molly of this season. Molly Kiernan?
Molly Kearney?
Oh.
Kearney, yeah.
Isn't Devon Walker's already main cast?
Yeah.
It's pretty tough to get fired once you're main cast.
He was never around.
I don't know.
He barely used. But Michael Longfellow, Jane Wickline.
I did see, I don't know who said this, so it might just have been, it literally could just be a random like social media thing, but they were, whoever it was that said this, that I'm not attributing because I don't remember where it came from, was suggesting that if Colin Jost and Michael Che left, that Michael Longfellow's the most likely to take over the desk.
I've been saying that for 3 weeks.
Well, it wasn't you though. It was someone else.
Come on. He's perfect.
Have you been saying that?
I have.
I
Yes.
actually do feel like if he were on the desk, he would have I feel like his
Norm
most
Macdonald.
likely lane is to be kind of like Norm Macdonald-esque.
Yeah.
Which is an impossible lane to go into because no one can be Norm Macdonald.
Che has done a Norm Macdonald.
No, he has not, Dustin.
Done-ish.
Not in the same way.
He's gone for the groaners. God.
It's not about going for groaners. It's about the way that it's about that, like, it's the delivery. It's the way that he was willing to quadruple down to the point of getting fired.
Yes. Yeah.
I do think that in 5 years, people will appreciate Michael Che a lot as an anchor.
They'd have to remember what he did.
I actually think Michael Che has done a really good job. I think that the key is that he and Colin Jost as a duo have it took them a few years to really figure it out. But once they did, I think that I actively think they became one of the better duos.
I do too. Colin Jost became like the perfect foil.
Yeah, and they were. A lot of it was that they kind of became comfortable enough to let themselves be the butt of the joke.
And that's the thing. Like, I can't really envision what Che has done without Jost there. And it's not that it's just, it is about the two of them. And it's about the fact that they each it's the butt of the joke thing.
Not singularly, but they will be remembered fondly.
They will be, but I don't know, like, I wouldn't ever say that. I cannot imagine what Che is without
Jost.
the duo. Like, I can't, like, I could never picture it. Because you know how sometimes it was like, how did it start? Was it Tina and Amy, and then it was Tina and Seth, or was it Tina and Seth, and then it was
Tina and Jimmy.
Tina and Jimmy, and then Tina and Amy, and then Amy and Seth.
Yes.
Was that the
Yeah.
Yes.
But it was
and
like
then,
so you got.
And then was it Seth by himself?
And then it was Seth by himself.
Right.
Yes.
And that was part of it. Was like you get these really good duos. I mean, Tina with Jimmy was fine, but you got good duos. But you saw them with other people, and so like you really got a sense of what each one of them could do. And then Seth obviously transitioned into being just solo.
Right.
Like we never got Jost with someone else or Che with someone else. Like I don't.
Well, we got Jost with Cecily Strong for a little bit.
Oh,
which is actually pretty good.
Which was it's weird because I think she would have been great if they had let her stick it out.
Yeah.
I also think they would have missed. I genuinely think they would have missed her too much from the rest of the show, including her update characters.
Yeah, and that's part of it. She was so good in her update characters, and that's why she throwing line on Jost.
Even though it's a bummer that because it feels like a demotion. I think. When you're taken off the desk, but
I don't think for her it was.
Yeah. I mean, Michael Che. If I feel like we forget because I forget. I don't know, and I'm the comedy editor theoretically. Michael Che was at The Daily Show. He had just been made a correspondent. He left after like a couple months to take the job at SNL, and he was good on The Daily Show. Like he was fine in his role, but it's fascinating to think because nobody quit because especially at that time, this is like almost a decade ago now. Nobody quit The Daily Show. The Daily Show was like the hottest. Like that was where you wanted to be. That was the cool kids table. And he left to go to SNL, which was, at best a lateral move.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it kind of worked out. It worked out for him.
It did. I begrudgingly sort of really started to admire and respect Che. We had some hard years.
I think the tough part is that it is he does seem to be, just based on the things that you've experienced, Dustin, he does seem to be very online.
He does.
And I think that it's tough to remove the persona from who he actually is. And I think it's easy to forget that we don't actually know who he is.
Right.
Generally.
Right.
he probably should be online less as a person, but we all should be.
Everyone should, yes.
But
we could turn off the internet.
It'd be fine.
What would we do though?
Right.
The tens of people who listen to this podcast, they could dial an 800 number like the old days, like with dial a song on. They Might Be Giants.
I liked Michael Che's show, the Michael Che Show.
You did.
It was interesting. Had some moments.
Yeah. I mean,
I wonder if he's going to do anything like that again.
All sketch shows have moments. I feel like they never canceled it. He could just come back at some point.
Is there?
Yeah.
That was a Max show, Dustin, and Max is no more. It's now HBO Max, so different kind of thing.
I certainly hope that Che continues. Oh, I would love to see him on stage stand up.
Have you watched his specials?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have. They are like Update, where it's like, this is really funny, but also really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, I'm afraid of telling people that I find this funny.
Wait, I just want to point out, technically, I don't think Phantasmus was canceled. They just have not renewed it. So there's hope for everyone.
Yeah. Every show can come back.
I feel like Che will be back on HBO before Phantasmus.
Before Phantasmus, perhaps. Before Torres, I don't think so.
I don't know what the hell is your thing with him, but okay.
Because he's great.
He's brilliant, Dustin.
He's brilliant.
No. Yes. I did not like his shows, but when I found out the sketches he wrote for SNL, I was pretty impressed.
Yeah. Come on, Papyrus, all-timer.
Yeah.
All right. The duck is literally about to quack. No. I know. We're going to talk a few other things. I'm just saying.
I just wanted to mention that I ranked the SNL episodes based on my scores, and Mulaney was number 1, and Gaga was number 2. Just putting that out there.
I'm impressed that you got it that right. Considering how historically wrong your scores are.
Yeah.
I'm impressed that you got it that right.
I was actually too when I actually looked at all my overall scores. I was like, oh wow. This actually makes sense. Yeah,
this is legit.
And Ariana Grande was, I think, number 3.
She had a good episode.
Yeah.
All right, the duck has quacked, but we do have some other things to at least briefly touch on.
Dan, I need your thoughts on Murderbot.
Okay, so Murderbot, it is the new Apple TV show from the Weitz brothers of American Pie and many other things, but like
about a boy.
About a boy. They've also
I think the Golden Compass.
Did they?
Really?
They also have done their own. They've also done their own thing like separately. I think it's Chris that is credited on Rogue One, among other things. So, as one of the writers. Anyway, so the Weitz
Chris Weitz was the director of the movie, the failed New Line movie, The Golden Compass.
But so they've been around for a long time. They've done many things, comedy and sci-fi fantasy, because they have various interests. So this is Murderbot. It is a sci-fi comedy based on a series of books, which both of you have read. Is that correct, or just Tori?
I read the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
The short version. Let me see if I understand this. The short version. What's his name? Alexander Skarsgård plays a robot who has jailbroken his programming. So he's like a robot who's basically security, and he gets hired out to whatever, he's just a piece of tech for companies and stuff. He has broken his programming so that he can be free and have free will and do what he wants. What he wants to do is watch TV. But instead, what he has been, he's been hired out. Right. He's been hired out to a group of seemingly mostly clueless scientists who are doing some kind of research mission. And all he wants to do is watch TV, but he obviously finds them constantly in danger and having to save them from creatures and, various dangers of the planet that they're on. 2 episodes were released this week or last week on Apple TV Plus. So Alexander Skarsgård is great. The cast is generally great. Like, I mean, the only people I recognize are David Dastmalchian.
Yeah.
I don't know how
I
you say
can't
his
do it
name,
either.
and Sabrina Wu. I'm sure if you told me who the other actors, what they've been in, I'll be like, oh, right, they were that person in that thing. But those characters are so, again, this is just off the first 2 episodes. Right now, they're so thinly sketched in a way that we're basically entirely in Murderbot's point of view. So we're seeing them from his point of view, which I'm hoping is part of why they all seem like idiots. They all, like, they're very thinly sketched. We don't really know, even when we see them in like point of view scenes where we're away from Alexander Skarsgård, they don't. It's just like I don't feel like I have a good sense of who any of those characters are, other than they're like very thin type that they have been, sort of build as up to this point. So there's like the suspicious tech guy, there's the couple that's now becoming a throuple, there's the captain or the leader, nominal leader, who's like very worried, and then there's the woman who I kind of don't really know anything about except she got injured in the first episode.
Yes.
She's
and
the
now she's
person
on
I
drugs.
know.
But so I don't. I am in a weird spot where I, like Murderbot, do not really care about them, which I am again hoping is the point, because he's very much like, I don't care about them except if they die, I'm going to get blamed for it. So I guess I'd better keep them alive. Which I think is a good job of putting me in his headspace, but it does not make me care about the show yet. So
They really needed.
That's kind of where I am right now.
They really needed at least one more episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I'm surprised that they got to the dead, whatever's going on
The
on
other
the
camp.
other installation. Yeah, that seems plot wise. I was shocked that they teased that at the end of episode 2. That felt like it would be, I don't know how many episodes are in this season, but that felt like it should have been another episode or 2 away.
Okay. So as people who have read the books, what am I missing?
I can hear myself.
I can also hear you.
Dustin?
Sorry, my headphones disconnected for some reason.
Yeah, so you're not missing any. Like, so that is accurate. I would say the show, and it is, you are correct. It is intentional. The books at least are almost claustrophobically in Murderbot's point of view. You're in his head, and you get a sense of that in the show where, like, sometimes it's hard to tell what is his narration and what is him actually speaking to other characters, because his narration is so present all the time, and it's very snarky. And so there are times where you're like, did he just say that out loud? And like, that's also part of the point. Like, you're supposed to be a little disoriented. I think the show actually does a better job of trying to open up that point of view and trying to give you scenes with characters that are not entirely through, because of course Murderbot is like hooked into all of the monitors and can see what's going on all the time. And like, so that's how they get around that in the books. And I think the show just like tries to cut down on some of the techno babble and have things happen more organically, where it's like, no, we can just put a camera there and we can just shoot that. And we don't have to come up with an excuse for why Murderbot witnessed it, because we're stuck in his head. So I think that does help. And it is like, over the course of the season, it's not necessarily that Murderbot becomes a cuddly person who suddenly loves humanity, but he certainly has to start. I think he does start feeling more genuinely protective toward these humans for certain reasons. And it's about that growing like responsibility he feels for them, and where that takes him. The one thing is, he's not strictly a robot, and that's also part of the kind of the general mystery that is, even like, so I'm reading the 3rd book right now, and it's been like kind of mentioned, and it's important, but like, we know that there's more going on with it. So he is made of organic and inorganic material, so he's more of like an android. And there's a certain amount of like he doesn't really know who he is or what he is. It's easier for him to kind of view himself as a robot, but he understands that like the organic material has been cloned, and is he capable of emotions? Is that, and there's a lot of stuff that he kind of pushes off. And I think that's what I also like about his character, is that you have this like 1 second, I'm gonna cough. Sorry, I had this tickle and it was killing me. You're so in his perspective and everything is through him, but like you kind of start figuring that like he's not reliable to himself.
Right.
And so there's a self-discovery going on as he goes through all of this and what his role is. So
Right.
But you see it in like how awkward he is, and that's why Alexander Skarsgård is so good in the role, because
Yeah.
he's so like he's just so awkward.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to take the helmet off and show his face, and like it's just really weird.
He has been very good at being just being very weird, and it feels both like, oh, it makes sense for a weird robot, but also I don't know, he somehow makes it work in a way that is very compelling. And again, he's very compelling to watch. To me, the rest of it so far, I am hopeful that, again, I mean, it makes sense to me that it's intentional, but I'm curious to see how they turn that into making this a more well-rounded show to me.
Yeah, and I
agree
am
with
too.
that.
Yeah.
I like it, but I feel like I feel like I don't know enough.
And Dustin, you've read the first book.
Yeah.
Right.
So how do you feel about it as far as like where?
I didn't love the book, so I didn't continue, but it's not because of the book, it's just because of me. I don't like sci-fi novels generally because of all of that technical speak.
One thing
I think,
No,
I
go
just
for
think that Alexander Skarsgård is killing it as far as I remember from the book.
Yeah, his whole not wanting to make eye contact thing is so funny to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, like there's a whole mystery, and I think this is one of the other things where I think this show wisely tries to like eliminate some of the technobabble, but part of the problem is that the mystery of this, at least the first book, is very reliant on essentially like technological sabotage. And one concern I have is that like it's all stuff that only this sec unit that's what Murderbot is. He can pick up on that the humans kind of have a harder time figuring out. And so far, like the show, like the fact that they're getting to this other like the fact that there's this other camp that's dead, like some of that stuff, the way they could have found that out was because of some of this sabotage. And it seems like they're kind of skipping over that. So I'm a little bit like I'm now I don't really understand how the mystery portion of it is going to unfold. So I'm not sure, like that's a little odd to me, but one thing I do like, and the fact that it's sci-fi, like I know Dustin you tend to have a problem with. One thing I appreciate about this particular view of the future space world thing that's going on is that it's like it feels like this really interesting space between like Star Trek and Star Wars, where it's not overly optimistic on what humanity is capable of, and it's not like, oh, it's not this like revolutionary whatever. It's just it is the end point of capitalism, where like we are capable of incredible things, but because it's all being run by people who want money, everything is shoddily done, and it's all corporations who will give you the cheapest, worst parts and like everything. It's just like kind of that becomes the joke. And that is also what is sort of funny about Murderbot himself is that like he's a shoddy unit that is rented out,
Right.
and is not given educational packages that are up to snuff and stuff like that because the corporation keeps is cheap. And so all of the parts, all of the ways that there can be all of this, like, essentially corporate sabotage, different different interests coming in and trying to screw with each other is because everyone's running shoddy tech. Um, and so it's kind of a nice angle on, I think, the sci-fi of imagining our world if you were to extrapolate it into however many hundreds of years into the future.
Dan,
Yes.
you must have subscribed to Apple TV Plus to watch this.
Oh.
I did.
Therefore, you must watch Your Friends and Neighbors.
Do I?
Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good.
I did finish finally Mythic Quest. I have not watched SideQuest yet, but I watched Mythic Quest and the alternate, just the last scene, because I think that's the only thing that was different.
What did you think of the last scene?
I wasn't as aggressively turned off by it, I think, as much as you were, Tori, or that a lot of people were. I mean, look, I
didn't actually see it. I didn't bother going back.
Oh no, I mean the original even.
Oh.
I mean, like I know it.
I
don't love it,
You
but
hated it, yeah.
I don't know. It was there. It's fine. Like it's not the more interesting choice, but it after seeing the alternate, it did make me feel like, oh, they really should have just gone with the alternate. Like even if like you don't need a cliffhanger, who cares?
Yeah.
And it's not really a cliffhangery show to me, and that honestly felt truer to their, like, I would have been happier with them saying, we're leaning hard into this idea that these two have a romantic chemistry, and we're gonna make you mad about it, and then at the very end we're gonna pull out the rug and say, nope, that's not true. They're actually just like creative soulmates,
right?
And I think that would have been appropriate, and I think that feels like a much truer point for them to get to.
I thought that was the argument since season 1.
Right.
Like,
And that's
that was what the show
right.
was.
But that's why I think that, like, I actually feel like I would have appreciated the romantic arc so much more if they were just like, no, just kidding. Like, even though normally people hate that in a TV show, but I think for this show it would have been appropriate.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Anyway, I mean the show went 4 seasons. It was, pretty successful by all accounts. Dustin hates it because he hates good things like Andor.
I love the first 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of fell apart.
Dustin really stopped enjoying it after F. Murray Abraham was removed for reasons we will not get into.
There were no other characters he could, kind of relate to.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. We're well over time, but Dustin, briefly tell us about Overcompensating and or Duster.
Oh shit!
You can also skip if you don't want to. But
Overcompensating is great. It feels like if you liked English Teacher, it's nothing like it, but for some reason reminds me of it. Except that there's no problematic backstory. But oh my god, it's so. I started it on Thursday night and just thought I'd watch an episode to see how it was, and I ended up watching 4 episodes and then waking up early the next morning and watching the last 4 episodes. It's really one of the best shows that I've seen, the best comedies in a while. Just wild and zany and funny and really, really heartwarming. And Duster is very entertaining, but not a great show.
Oh. And Duster is the one with
Lost Guy, Josh Holloway. It's fine. I mean, it's on Max, and it feels like a network show.
Ooh.
But not in a bad way. It's like, this is like their Pit strategy. Like, the Pit feels like a network show, except a really, really good one.
Right.
This one feels like a network show that's good for networks, but not great for
like television. Yeah.
Right. But it's fine. I'll watch it all the way through. It's a good cast. They're charming.
What is the story? I mean, is it a mystery? Is it a crime? Like, what is it?
He's the getaway driver who ends up like the confidential informant for an FBI agent. It's the 70s, and she's like female and black, so she's like an outlier, and none of the good old boys in the FBI like her. So they end up working together and to take down his boss, who runs Keith David, who runs like a criminal organization. I mean, look, the cast is great.
Yeah, its cast is great.
Right. And it is entertaining, but not great. It really weirdly sort of reminds me of J.J. Abrams' failed series, Undercovers, which only Dan remembers.
Oh, yeah. I remember Undercovers.
Yeah. It's
one
like,
season on NBC.
Right. It's like, oh, that failed, but I have some ideas left over, so I'm going to turn it into this.
All right. Well, that's the show. I don't know how long we went. We did it. We talked a lot about TV. Dustin, we showed how wrong Dustin is once again, which is really all we care about.
Yes.
Next week,
Obviously.
we will be talking about the Survivor finale and who knows what else. But
we never know.
We never know. The Devil's Plan, the last episode's release, I believe this week or maybe next week. I don't know. Anyway, Devil's Plan is great. Watch it on Netflix. Justin Min is in it. Why wouldn't you want to watch that?
Also, watch Secrets We Keep. Great Scandinor.
What?
Oh. The Last of Us finale will be on Sunday.
That's right. Lots to talk about.
Plenty to talk about.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.